Good morning, good morning. Happy Mother's Day. I see a lot of mothers. I know I've gotten lots of hugs this morning already for Mother's Day, but what a blessing to have a mom, what a blessing to be a mom. I'm going to start back in about 1984, Pikes Peak, Colorado. Anyone ever been Pikes Peak? Yes. 14,110 feet above sea level. Summited that thing for the first time when I was 9 with my dad. I was raised in Colorado Springs, right there in the foothills of Pikes Peak. So this majestic peak, just standing guard over the eastern plains of Colorado. And that's where I had the pleasure of growing up. Most weekends in the afternoon, you could find our family traipsing around these foothills of Colorado and the lowlands of the Rocky Mountains. And my brother, probably about 3 at the time, we would get into these, the sibling rivalry that kind of happens when you have some younger brothers and sisters. We would play King of the Mountain. One really distinctive quality about Pikes Peak, if you didn't know, are the boulder fields. So it's like looking out and seeing, maybe you'd picture, a herd of bison on these big, huge rocks out there, and they're boulder fields. Well, we would play around in these, and one caught my eye that I thought, oh, that's mine. I'm going to make that mine. I'm going to climb it to the top. I'm going to conquer it. Kind of knowing that my brother had no chance of getting up as tall as I could. So I proceeded to climb up this boulder. Quite rapidly. I did really pretty great getting up there to the top. My dad's down cheering me on. You got this, kiddo, you got this. So I'm climbing up. I plant my feet on the top of this boulder, and I was king of the mountain, right? I made it. I won. I did this. And my little brother's down there. Now, he's part spider monkey, so I was kind of surprised he didn't get at least part way up this rock. So I'm looking around, I'm excited, and there's my dad, one of my biggest cheerleaders ever, standing there and applauding, clapping. Yeah, you did it. I knew you could. He's like, come on down, let's have some Gatorade and some trail mix. And I'm like, yes, my victorious feast. Let's get down there and pick out the M&Ms out of the trail mix, right? If you like M&Ms. So we get down, my dad's standing down there, and I turn around, I'm ready to come down the face of this boulder. I'd gotten up really quickly. That was not a problem. Coming down, it didn't take very long to think, uh-oh, I'm not sure where I'm at. Is my next foot placement going to be? How am I going to get down from here? So I'm holding on to this boulder, and I kind of start trying to squeeze the boulder, trying to hold on, because I'm really unsure of what my footing underneath is going to look like. Now remember, I'd already seen this boulder climbing up, but I wasn't paying attention. So trying to climb down, and I can hear my dad. I'm starting to say, Dad, help me, I need you to grab me. Dad, help me. I could hear him, kind of see him out the side of my eye as my face is planted against this boulder, right? My fingertips are just digging in. My little legs are flailing, trying to find some footing so I can get down off of that boulder. And I hear my dad. He's like, you're okay. You can do this. You're safe. I'm right here. But Dad, no, I need you to help me. And I'm getting panicky. I'm starting to slide down this boulder. My shirt's riding up, and this granite is scraping my belly. My fingertips are getting sore. Dad, I'm crying harder and harder. He's still standing there. He's like, kiddo, just let go. Just let go. I'm right here. I haven't left. I'm not going to leave you. Just let go. I got a little more agitated. Now I'm starting to get angry. Dad, I know you're right there. I need you to help me. I'm crying. My fingertips feel like they're bleeding. My toes can't find anywhere to land. And he said, Mouse, let go. Okay. Took a deep breath, closed my eyes really tight, and I let go, and I fell. You know how far I fell? About 2 inches. My dad, the whole time, saw the whole picture. He knew exactly where I was. He knew exactly what was coming for me if I would just let go. couple things happened in that moment. Aside from trying not to make a mess in my pants because I thought I was going to die, I had anger that my dad, even though I was safe now, all these emotions, right? I was angry, I was frustrated, I felt that am I not worth helping? But in that moment of all of that, the trust I had in my dad deepened. Because when he said, I'm here, you're safe, just let go. He meant it. And that built trust in my dad. So we'll fast forward about a dozen years. In my 20s at this time. And at this time in my life, I was ready to be my own, right? I graduated high school, I'd moved away from home, and I thought, okay, I'm ready. I've got what it takes, I'm well equipped, I'm well prepared, I'm going to go out into the world and be my own. Well, I got married at a young age and had my first daughter just before I was 22. Now, that little girl, that little girl that made me a mama for the first time, the second I saw her, I knew the most extravagant creature I'd ever laid my eyes on. Now, I looked down the road 6 weeks from then when I looked back at her newborn baby pictures. Anyone else know what I thought I saw? It's the perspective that we have as we become mothers. She was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I knew at that moment that God had called me to be a mom. So we go along a few more years, not quite a few years, let's say about a year and a half. And the relationship with my first marriage was not healthy. And it was time to find a way out of that one. So, took a lot of energy, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of the fear of failure, right? Here I am in my early 20s, I'm already divorcing. Way to screw that up. Failed at that. What else are you going to fail at? So carrying on with myself, feeling sad, I got through and thinking, okay, I've got my daughter. I'm working full time. I'm going to college. But there's something missing. At the time, I thought it was a relationship. I had failed at that one. All right, there's one. But something was missing. So I kind of dipped my toes in the dating pool for a while. Just wasn't finding anything that would pique my interest, nothing that I could hold on to. I worked more, going to school more. I did great. I excelled at school. I excelled at my career. But there was still something missing. Not too long after that, I started to experience some pretty significant pain in my lower abdomen. I was young, didn't think there could be a whole lot of things that it could be. Went through some tests. Nope, we don't know what it is. It's kind of coming and going. It's here. It's not so bad. It's a little bit better. And it just continued after a while to get worse and worse. Some of the doctors even told me that it was a mental pain and not a physical pain. So several more years into that, I found a doctor who confirmed by exploratory surgery that I had severe endometriosis. So there were surgeries. And more surgeries. There was pain management. There was a point that we leveled off, thought, okay, this is going to be okay. This is something I'm going to be able to get through. And it was about that time in my life that I met someone that I really believed was going to be the missing piece that's going to make my life complete. Well, we married, and another year or so goes by, I have more surgeries. Now, by this time in my surgeries for the endometriosis, I had already had several other surgeries. I had my knee realigned when I was younger. I had gallbladder surgery, kidney stones that were just pretty gnarly. 3 surgeries for that. So by the time I'm getting into these more and more surgeries of my endometriosis, more and more things started happening, whereas pain management became the focal point of what I was needing to do in order to function in my life. So along with all of this pain management comes a whole bunch of other things. And one of the things with endometriosis is infertility. So newly married, thinking we're going to be able to start a family, and that did not happen. We spent time in Seattle. We spent time at infertility treatments. And things just were not going anywhere. So now I had this newer marriage, and I thought, all right, that's my missing piece. Things are going to be good. My life is going to come together and be complete. Well, we tried and tried. We decided actually to look into adoption. I thought, okay, maybe that's where we're supposed to be headed with this. And before you know it, I got pregnant with my first son. Okay, my family's complete. My life is good. Everything is going to be okay. 12 months and 2 weeks later, our daughter was born. So now I've got 3 kiddos. People often think that my middle 2 kids are twins. They are in the same grade. Their birthday's in the same month. And it's just to go from having 1 child and then 2 and 3. It was like it was worse than taking care of twins probably. I think it was probably harder. Twins at least have a similar sleep cycle and eating cycle and all of that, where when they have a year apart, they're not the same. My pain continued. My endometriosis came back with a vengeance after I had my daughter. And things progressed, even having more surgeries. At this point, I had 13 surgeries combined. And as you can imagine, the pain management that comes along with all of that can be very devastating. Very curious and interesting fact about addiction is that it's progressive and it's fatal, if not arrested. So here I am now. This is the end of my second marriage. 3 kids, had a career, beautiful home. And it seems like one day I woke up and that was all gone. No marriage, no kids, no finances, no home. It's gone. And in that time, I found myself, again, I thought I had found it all. Thought I had found my missing piece. I found a husband, I had my kids, we got a house. What did I do? What's going on? What's happening? What had happened that I couldn't realize at the time was that my pain management became pain avoidance. And before I knew it, I was using anything I could to not hurt emotionally and spiritually. In my mind, my pain management was in order to be able to have the energy to function, to take care of 3 kids. The energy to get down on the floor and play with him, the energy to go to their milestones, their school functions, and those types of things. Not did it once come into my mind that I was an addict. Waking up alone, homeless, living in trap houses, using everything, heroin, meth, fentanyl, cocaine. If it was out there, I was going to do it. So by this time, pain management had become pain avoidance, had become self-destruction. And there was nothing that was going to change that. Not in my own power. I got clean for a short time back in 2011. Thought, I'm going to do this. I had gone to jail for theft. Oh, maybe that's my missing piece. Maybe I needed that hard lesson in life, right? I would feel these nudges every once in a while, almost like a tap on the shoulder. Hey, daughter, let go. Let go. I ignored it, brushed it off. No. Have nothing to nothing. I'm good. Hey, daughter, your friend just overdosed. Are you ready? Are you ready to wake up and let go? Nope, now the pain's even multiplied, right? Homeless, sleeping on park benches, hiding out in alleyways. I had become quite infamous. The drug task force had a case against me, and they had no problem knocking down doors to try and find me. I was selling drugs, manufacturing, of course using, In any way I could get it into my body, I would get it into my body. In 2015, I became pregnant. And I thought, okay, this was the tap on the shoulder that I needed. Are you ready? Let go. Let go. You have another child. Let go. Okay, I'll try. Never once did I turn around and say, I hear you. I'm here. I'm ready. Not once. Because the pain of turning around was too much to bear. I had to stay this direction where I could use everything that I had at my disposal, right? This had become my missing piece. Heroin had become my missing piece. It was the answer to everything. I could go into oblivion and not have to worry about anything. So I'm pregnant. Pending felony charges, felony warrants, using and selling, running all over the state to buy drugs, to bring them back and sell them. Guess how many prenatal appointments I went to while I was pregnant? 0. Probably a lot of reasons for that. The reality, number one, if I were to see an ultrasound and see that I had a child in me, that'd be a reality that I wouldn't be able to handle. There'd just be no way. And besides that, I had my missing piece, right? I had all of these things I was already holding on to that were going to get me through what I needed to get through. Well, this lifestyle continued. And in March of 2016, I drove over to Seattle to purchase in bulk the product that I had begun selling very heavily. And my water broke while I was in Fred Meyer on a shoplifting trip. That wasn't enough for me to wake up. A little bit more reality when I'm in the middle of Fred Meyer with a cart full of stolen items, walking up to the front being like, my water just broke. Do you need an ambulance? No, thanks, I'm good. Got out into the vehicle that I was driving, drove myself to the hospital? Nope. Drove myself to where I was going to pick up the heroin that I was going to be selling. So I had a deadline. I had money in my pocket. I needed to get that done so I could get back to Wenatchee. Now you think about this for a minute. How devastating of a choice to go here first instead of going to the hospital to deliver a child. That, my friends, is a power of addiction. You lose the choice after a while because your mind is not where it's supposed to be. Took care of that. What am I going to do with that? Can't take it in the hospital. Can't leave it in the car because I know someone's going to take it. Well, I did my own pain management little series before I went to the hospital. Walked in the hospital, into the emergency room. It's Swedish over in Seattle. By this time, I was hurting pretty good. It had been several hours, 4th child, things were progressing quite rapidly. So I get back into the little triage room. There wasn't much of triage, it was pretty clear why I was there. And I just broke down. And the nurse is like, what, well, I know you're in labor, but are you okay? This is a different kind of cry. And I admitted everything. I said, I'm a junkie. I haven't been to the doctor. I don't even know the sex of my child. I don't know if it's going to be healthy. Don't know if it's going to have 3 legs. For as much as I used during my pregnancy, I had no idea what was going to be happening. This is another moment in time where God's tapping me. Are you ready? You've been honest about this, but are you ready to do the next step? Are you ready to do something different? Yeah, okay, I think I'm there. Another interesting little fact that I've learned about addiction is that for me, it took 2 things simultaneously to happen. That was to be ready and to be willing. Can't have one without the other. You can be willing, but now I'm not ready. You can be ready. I know I need to change. I know I need to change, but no, not willing to do it. Not willing to do it. At that moment, I had the willingness, but I wasn't ready. I got wheeled into the delivery room just in time for Cody to be delivered. The doctor literally turned around with a blanket and swooped him up off the table because he came so quickly. I couldn't look at him. I was too scared to look at him. Out of fear of what he physically might look like because of what I had done to him, but also because I knew that looking at that child, something was going to have to click in my brain. Back to when I had my other kids. What a different scenario. My other 3 kids we had wanted, and we had been together with each other. They had been at the hospital when the kids were born. Not this one. I didn't even have anybody to call. Nobody knew I was pregnant. I had just totally discarded my family and my friends. Anyone that I thought was friends were the ones that had no problem helping me stay high while I was pregnant. So in this cold March morning, 2016, Cody was born. I wasn't sure who the dad was. Couldn't tell you. Within just a few hours, I had, as you can imagine, CPS workers, mental health professionals, drug and alcohol specialists, recovery specialists, all coming in. Now, because of my honesty, when I came in, it didn't take them long to figure out that I was going to need some help with withdrawing from this stuff if I was going to have a chance of getting my footing when I got out, when I was discharged from the hospital. That was me. Here is my infant son, who was also sent to the NICU so his little body could be withdrawn from all of these drugs. You would think that at a time like that in one's life, that you could say, I'm done. Okay, I get it, now what? And I'll tell you, with all of the power in me, I tried. I was discharged from the hospital. Cody had to stay a bit longer. But what was I to do from there? I left the hospital empty-handed, heartbroken. Now at this time, there's been a few days of a little bit of sobriety starting to come back. I wasn't hiding in all of that pain anymore. I made it back to Wenatchee, barely. And of course, everything that was in my vehicle was gone, which was a blessing. Now at the time, I didn't think so, because I knew the consequences of returning without it. Get back to Wenatchee. Cody was placed in foster care. A case against me by the state of Washington. Cody placed in dependency, on top of the felonies I was already wanted for. So I white-knuckled it for 3 weeks. I knew what I had to do. And in that time, I got that tap. Are you ready? Let go. I have too much to do. I know I've got to do this. Now I have all these CPS meetings, and I have to do this. I have to go to court. I have all of these things that I have to do to try to comply with everything. Okay, I just need to. On my own will, that lasted just a couple of weeks. So now postpartum is really kicking in. The reality of what's happened is really kicking in. And understanding that this is not just something that is going to go away. It didn't take long at all. I was right back to it, right back to what was getting me through before. As twisted as that is, that was my normal. That was my comfortable. So right back to it. Right back to the streets, right back to the trap houses, right back to all of that. And that went on for another couple of months. So, in the span of those years, I had lost my marriage. my first 3 kids, my home, business, everything that I had. And then that wasn't enough, so I went and I lost some more. So you've heard the term, I'm sure, that somebody's hit their rock bottom. I'm an overachiever. And I found a jackhammer at that rock bottom, and I kept going. I wasn't far enough yet. Not until Chelan County's deputy sheriffs found me, said, hey, we know you. We know what you've been doing, and we want to talk. On my way to jail in the back of the car, again, are you ready? Are you ready? This time I was a little more ready. To this day, I don't remember ever sobbing as hard as I sobbed in the back of that sheriff's vehicle. How was I going to face all of that chaos and destruction that I had just laid out in these years prior? It was too overwhelming. How am I going to do this? There's no way. And anyone that tells me, yeah, there's a way. You don't know my story. You don't know what I've done. You don't know what I've been through. How can you tell me that you know that there's a way? Get into booking, get into my jail cell. Took a couple of days. There's very little help for those withdrawing when you're in jail. And it's fierce. And it's sheer agony. Physically, mentally, emotionally, I was defeated. I had no kids. I had no home. I had no healthy relationships. What's the point? There was quite a time in that period of my life where I thought I had the answer. But I couldn't stomach the thought of suicide. What I could stomach was not waking up. Just let me not wake up again. I was crying that prayer and laying on my cot with the makeshift pillow, because in jail you don't have the Egyptian cotton. You get these lumps of whatever you can to kind of try and make a pillow. It was soaked with my tears and my snot. And I just was crying. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to go. Another tap. Hey, daughter, are you ready? Are you ready? And in my mind, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Am I ready for what? What else is there to happen? What else can I do? There's nothing else. Am I ready for what? Ready to die? Yes, please. Sign me up. I'm done. Like to check out early. This time it was just a little more persistent, or maybe my mind and heart was a little bit more open to it. Are you done? I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. I've pursued you. I cherish you. You are mine. I've called you by name. Are you ready to just let go? That was the moment. Laying in jail, crying so hard, took in a deep breath, and it was that stuttered deep breath right after you've been crying so hard. The last of the tears that I think my system had squeezed out of my eyes. And I just, yes, yes, I'm ready. And in that moment of answering God's call, to let him be my missing piece, to let him fill me with what I needed to accomplish his calling. In that moment, I still was struggling with that trust piece. I'm like, okay. I've heard you all these years. I felt you tapping on my shoulder. I've seen all of the signs. I've seen how you've protected me through some devastating situations. You were there when I overdosed. You were there when I resuscitated an overdose. You were there when I beat someone up. You were there when I got beaten up. And the whole while you've been there. So while I had a hard time trusting that it was going to be okay, I knew that I could trust that he would be there. Now, releasing all of that and accepting God's love as my missing piece still left a big question mark above my head. What next? Just because I've accepted this, I still have court, I still have CPS, I still have no family, I have all of these things. So at that second, the enemy knew he was losing his hold on me, and he brought in the doubt. He said, okay, you said yes to him, but look at what's going to come because of what you've done. And at that moment again, I had the self-doubt, had addiction, I had hatred, self-defeating thoughts, resentment, dishonesty, sexual immorality, all of the things. Okay, God, I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes that I'm ready. Now what's next? The enemy said, you don't have room to do anything else. How are you going to have the strength to conquer and tackle any of this stuff that's coming? What did my father say when I was hanging off of that boulder in Pikes Peak, Colorado? Just let go. Let go of the resentment. Let go of the anger. Let go of the lust, the hatred, the addiction, your self-will, your self-loathing. Let it all go. Here's a caveat to letting it all go at the foot of the cross, my friends. It's not a yo-yo boulder. It's not a boulder that you pick back over and pick back up if you want the promises of God. Because I'll tell you, to this day, I will still bend over and pick up that self-doubt. I will still bend over and pick up something that I thought was long gone. Resentment. Do you ever look at somebody in your life that you think, all right, forgiving them, moving on. And then you see them and your heart goes, eh. That's because I picked that resentment back up again. Got to lay it back down. Yo-yo boulders. Can you imagine a boulder on a yo-yo? Up and down, up and down, up and down. I do it. Every day I have to lay stuff down at the foot of the cross. Because I'm a sinner. But God has had mercy on me. And his grace is sufficient for all of us. His mercy and his grace cover us. So I can stand here as someone who, in the last 15 years of her life, has experienced more in the depths of hell than I would wish on anybody to ever know about. But God said, you are mine. I have called you by name. I will never leave you or forsake you. And just like my dad standing next to that boulder, he saw the whole picture. Our Jesus sees the whole picture of what we're doing, of what we're going through, of where our feet are going to land. He sees it, and he knows it. So these boulders, these rocks, maybe they're just little pebbles. You ever get little pebbles stuck in your shoe? You're just kind of like, I'm trying to kick it out. Kind of get stuck. It's a nuisance. Get enough of those little pebbles. Are you able to move your feet? It's not possible. I want you to take a look with me. Isaiah 41:10, one of my favorite verses in the Bible. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Joshua 1:9 is another one of my very favorites. Have I not commanded you? This isn't God just saying, oh, hey, remember that time? No. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Wherever. There's no maybe in that. Wherever you will go. I want to take another quick look. Let's see here. I'm going to be skipping around in my notes here for just a second. Let's take a look at Romans 8:38 and 39. For I am convinced that neither life, nor death, nor angels, nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. How many things can separate us from our Father? None. Can addiction? Sexual immorality? Lust? Workaholic? So I want you to pick up your rock that you came in with this morning. Hold it in your hand and feel the weight of that rock. This is just one thing. Maybe it's fear. Fear of failure, fear of success. Anyone else in here a black and white thinker? It's perfect or it's failure, right? Well, I know that I can't be perfect, so that means I'm a failure. Where is that gray area and that compassion that our Lord has for us? Maybe it's resentment over lost relationships. Maybe it's grief and loss over lost relationships. Maybe it's an addiction to shopping, gambling, gossip. What is it that you're holding on to? And our Father is asking you, hey, just let go. So there might be some things in our life that are the big boulders that we can see and that we can know that's a problem. I'm going to lay that down. We're going to get rid of it. Maybe there's some things that are like, yeah, that's kind of, looks like that boulder's kind of growing. That's kind of creeping around a little bit. I need to address that here pretty soon. Maybe there's some things that are like, oh, yeah, that's not a problem. My pill addiction, that's no problem. That's not a problem. It wasn't a problem till it became a problem. Anything that is going to stand in the way, keep our hands full, we are not going to be able to receive the missing piece of God's love. With God's love are his promises. With God's love is his encouragement. You can do this. I'm right here. I'm going to give you everything that you need to accomplish this. It's all right there. So these rocks are for you to do with what you would like, but I would like to invite you to consider a couple of suggestions. Maybe there's something that you're thinking, yeah, This is here, I need to address it, but I'm going to take it home and put it on my bedside table. And I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to be reminded that there's something that I need to be taking a look at and need to address. Maybe this thing that you're holding on to, and so you're not able to receive the full love of Jesus Christ and his forgiveness and salvation. Maybe what you're holding on to is like, yeah, but I don't want to tell anybody about that one. I need to get rid of it, but I don't want to share that with anybody. That's okay. That's okay. Take it with you. Find a place along the river when you're on your way home. Say a prayer over it. Let it go. Fly it out to the river and let it go. Maybe it's something that you're holding on to and you're like, wow, okay. Or maybe there's two things you're holding on to. And you're thinking, all right. If you're holding on to something today and you're ready to let it go, I invite you to come up here with me at the foot of the cross and lay your boulder down. Make room for the promises that he has for us. Make room to receive God's love, his full covering, fully redemptive, amazing love. Because, friends, in Romans 8, it says nothing can separate us from God's love. Taking a look at my life, it was so easy to say, oh, yep, that's too big for God to take care of. No, when I was able to get to the place where I accepted God's love, God restored me, friends. He renewed me. Cody came back to me after we got back from treatment, 7 months old, when he came back into my care. Before he was a year old, the state had dismissed my case with a dependency, and Cody is forever mine. June 26th, next month, by God's grace, I will celebrate 8 years sober from heroin. Friends, this is not my story. God wrote it. I get to live it. After my first 2 attempts at the marriage thing, I decided that was it. I was done. A couple years sober, and I thought, no, it's Cody and me, I'm good. God said, oh, got something for you. You've been my faithful servant. You have turned your life over to me, and I want you to have this. And he brought me Tom Desgroseillier. Stand up for me, Tom. He's mine. Now, because of my endometriosis, I did lose any chance of having any more kids. But God said, hey, got something for you. Tom has a little boy, Elliot Joseph. Two years ago, Elliot lost his mama. This last February, I adopted Elliot. And Cody was adopted by Tom. God restores, friends. What the devil intended to destroy, God made whole and made bigger. There is nothing, friends, nothing that God cannot unbreak, as Heather talked about this morning. All we have to do is let go. So we're going to just have a couple of quiet minutes. Think about the rock that you're holding on to. And if you feel your Father tapping you on the shoulder, saying, hey, are you ready? Are you ready? Join me up here and lay it down at the cross.